Hello and welcome to my video, lesson 6.8 on area of a rectangle. So the formula, which just means the equation or the way to get the area of a rectangle, is area equals length times width. Okay, and when I write this, I normally will write A for area equals L for length times W for width. So from now on, that's how I'm going to be writing that. So the area of a rectangle is length times width. So if we look at this first one here, we have a width of 2 and we have a length of 5. So area equals length times width. And then we put the length, which is 5, and we put the width, which is 2, and so we can get 10. Now, that's the very mathematical, just multiplying to get the answer way of getting it. But I want to show you guys another trick here. With a rectangle on grid paper or graph paper like this, you can actually count the number of squares. Well, maybe that's not the best. Maybe we'll just use this. So this is 1 square. This is 2 squares. This is 3 squares. This is 4 squares. 5 squares. 6 squares. 7 squares. 8 squares. 9 squares. And 10 squares. So we have an area of 10. So either way you go about it, either you literally just count the number of squares, or you multiply to get your answer, you'll get the same answer. The reason why we multiply is when we have a really big square, something bigger than 10. It is much faster to multiply. Let's say, I'm just going to draw a really big square here and say it's, well, let's go really big. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is a really big one. Now, I can instantly tell you, if this is 10 and this is 10, well, 10 times 10 equals 100. That is really fast, really easy. But to count every one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, will take forever. So you can count, but the reason why we don't just count every time is because sometimes we don't have it on grid paper, and sometimes it's just way faster. Okay, with that in mind, let's keep going to the next one. So here we have a width of 3 and a length of 5. So again, very similar. So here we've got A equals L times W. I write that down every time, keeps me on track. 5 times 3, and 5 times 3 is 15. So area equals 15. This is the way I want you to write it down. It makes it much more clear how well you're doing, and if you understand the question. Alright, here's the next one. We've got 3, 3. So all we do is go area equals length times width equals 3 times 3, and it equals 9. So area is 9. Alright, we're going to try one more where we're going to do something weird to it. Here we're given this yellow rectangle, and maybe the question doesn't ask how big is the area in the yellow rectangle. Maybe it asks what is half the area. So it might ask you a little bit more of a complicated question. And so all you're going to do is you're going to find the area, just like you did before. L times W, 6 times 3, which is 18. And then what you're going to do is take that number and half it. So 18 divided by 2 is 9. Perfect. So that tells you that half of the area is 9. But wait a minute, why don't we try just cutting it in half? Why don't we actually do that right now? So I'm just going to do this to show that I'm cutting it in half. This is exactly half of my shape. So now that I've cut it in half, well, if I count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, it's the same. So if it says half the area, well, you can actually just do that, and you can cut it in half and then count, or you can take the area and divide it by 2. All right, this is really important because this is a little bit beyond grade 6 content, but this is definitely coming up, and it's really not that difficult, so I may as well show you guys now. This is how we get the area of a triangle. So let's just show the idea here. Whoops. So we have a side 4 and a side 4 for this square. So let's do the area underneath. Area of the square is length times width. So it's 4 times 4, which is 16. Okay, so that's great. We have the area of the square. But what is the area of the rectangle? Of a triangle? Well, if we cut that in half this way, all we're doing with the math is we're taking 16 and dividing by 2. So the area of this shape inside here, oh wow, it's a triangle. That area is 8. So it's cool to see that the area of a triangle is actually side times side divided by 2. So let's just show that, or let's write that underneath here. On this side, area of triangle equals length times width divided by 2. And that's it. So it may have been a kind of a weird way of getting there, especially if you're thinking, well, yeah, right there. So especially if you're thinking, well, if I just count, I can just keep counting and I will get it. I don't even have to do any multiplying, and that's true. But now that we know that it's multiplying to get a rectangle or a square, we can actually use that same idea to get the triangle version of that square. So let's show one more example of what that could look like. Let's use red here. Maybe ink to shape. Maybe we have a triangle that looks like this. It's not perfect there, but you can sort of tell that the bottom side here is 4, this side here is 2, and then it goes in between those, and this is supposed to be a right angle. This is of a right angle triangle, or of a, well, yeah, the height and width. Anyways, so let's try this out, remembering that if we continued this, whoops, if we continued this rectangle around, it would actually go all the way up. So this area of T of the triangle is length times width divided by 2. So in this case it's 4 times 2 divided by 2. So 4 times 2 is 8, divided by 2 is 4. And we can find the area of a triangle. So finding the area of a rectangle is very, very straightforward. Length times width, but then we can use that to also find the area of a triangle. So I hope this video helps you understand area a little bit better, and good luck.